Open your eyes.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Just to give everyone a little heads up on everything we'll be talking about today, the World Economic Forum is talking about new future plans again, and it's every bit as nightmarish as you might think. The citizens of the UK are fighting back against government tyranny. We're going to get new insights on the concept of a false flag attack by analyzing one of history's most suspicious events. There's been some crazy new evidence showing that this Artemis 2 mission was nothing but a Hollywood production. We hear a new theory where someone makes a connection between the increase in all these humanoid robots and the increase in all of these AI data centers all over the US. And finally, we're going to take a look at this viral chart that everyone's been talking about here recently. This chart claims to show an exact timeline of when each industry will fail or collapse and then be taken over by AI and robotics. I hope everyone's got time to stick around to the end. We have got some great clips today. But that's enough of me talking. Let's get after it.
What is going on with the WEF? I'm getting total villain, last boss type vibes. Make sure you stick around because you will not hear this anywhere else. We'll come right back to this stuff. Now before we get into the really crazy part, we have the WEF talking about implanting devices and Bluetooth headphones and other things for who knows what. And yeah, this is pretty crazy, but it gets crazier.
Wearable devices. So these are brain sensors that are starting to be embedded in everyday devices, but until now have been a number of niche companies that really have focused on mindfulness and meditation. The use of, for example, brain sensors that can pick up electrical activity in the brain at a pretty low resolution.
So y'all heard that, right? They're already putting chips in your headphones that can read your brain activity. We also just had Schwabi step down and this guy step up. But let's be real, why do they want to measure your brain activity? What kind of electrical signals can they pick up from your brain? Do you see this behind me? Automatic machine for identifying blanks of blank from voice to skull? So this is a patent that fights against the other patent, which is the voice to skull. So I'm sure you're wondering, what is voice to skull? Well, it's technology where they can implant voices in your own head. You'll think it's you half the time. So I was actually going to get the voice to skull patent, and I found this one instead. If you want to look farther into it. TikTok does this picture, I'm sure they all have infections. So I've showed you in times past where they can literally read your brain from the camera on your phone using your eyes. And through that, they'll decode some electronic signature from your brain to know what you're thinking. Also now with your headphones, they can get that same exact signal. We also have AI being able to detect your location through walls. So long story short, because I'm just joking, I'm just giving y'all some fiction. Theoretically, it would never happen. When voices beam to your skull, they'll know what you're thinking about that voice because your headphones or whatever else kind of technology. This all coming up when the last boss fight is stepping up and the new identification required to enter government buildings. Need I say any more?
I'll be honest, a big part of me wants to look at a story like this and think there's just no way. There's no way that they could actually develop a technology that they could just simply put into an earbud that you would then unknowingly be giving them access to all of your actual thoughts. It just doesn't even sound like that could be a thing. It doesn't sound like something like that would even be possible, no matter what technology does. But then every time I have a thought like that, I am very quickly reminded of the video footage showing what a computer microchip or processor looks like under a microscope. If they have this technology, it's because it was gifted to them. Just like with all of our processors. I don't think there's a man out there who could convince me that computer processors, from conception to completion of a first working finished product, I don't think that anyone could convince me that that is completely a human invention. I think all this technology was a gift from the fallen angels, and the only reason they would give a gift like that is if they were going to get something they wanted in return, and I don't think it was just simply getting a hall pass to go abduct people, that the government would just agree to say it was aliens. I think they were smart enough to know that if they got this technology stuff to take off, eventually it would be controlling everything. And humans, they don't even fully understand how a lot of this stuff works because it was given to them as a gift. So think about that. If they're giving us this technology that's capable of mind-blowing things that we couldn't even fathom, that we couldn't even think of, and because it was gifted to us, we only understand how it works, but we wouldn't be capable of just creating this out of our own mind. So we're going to have some very educated people who understand the basics after studying these things for a while, but no one's going to know how to build one from scratch. So no one's going to fully understand everything that this technology is capable of. But I feel like I'm getting way off track here. The main idea I'm trying to convey is if they tell us they've got this technology that's capable of doing something that doesn't sound like it is even remotely realistic, and then you find patents for other devices that are supposed to protect you from the effects of said invention, I'd say it makes sense to at least be somewhat cautious about it. Just think, as long as everything is set up right on my end, and everything is set up right on your end, you can sit down at your computer and with literally clicking one single button, you can watch the entirety of this video that I spent 7 or 8 hours making. And you get to start watching it immediately when you click on it. You don't have to wait 7 or 8 hours for it to download. And you may live thousands of miles away from me. So if they can get these computers to actually read and then send video information over thousands of miles, and someone can instantaneously access it, then wouldn't it make sense to think that it's at least somewhat plausible that they can send a thought? And if they can send a thought, that probably takes up way less data and space than a video file. But if they can send it, they got to be collecting it some way. If they're saying they're putting it in devices, and those devices go in our ear right next to our brain, I guess my main point is these people are very evil and very power hungry. And when they tell us that they intend to do something to us that sounds fantastical and made up, we should probably listen to them, because a lot of the stuff they've done already, we didn't think they could do. We may have reached that point where the only safe option is to just completely do away with earbuds altogether.
We could all learn something from the people of Britain right now. There's these cameras, ultra low emission zone cameras, and they'll just charge you for driving around in the intercity areas. And as you can see here, they be cutting them down. They cut them down a lot. They call them blade runners because they roll around the city and just chop them down everywhere. And I know what you're thinking. There's probably 2 or 3 cameras they get. They probably get a few a day. 50% at any given time throughout the city of London, these cameras are cut down. That's how high of a rate these guys work at. As you can see here, a whole intersection getting hit at once. Absolutely amazing. That's what happens when people work together towards a shared goal.
All right, I just looked this up, and apparently there are supposed to be 3,700 working low emission zone cameras, or whatever they called them. So that means at any given time they have more than 1,800 of these cameras out of operation. And just think, it's probably not a large group that's doing this, or they probably would have been caught already. You get too many people involved in something like that, and you're going to have a weak link in the chain. You're going to have somebody that starts talking to the cops or makes a mistake and gets everybody else caught. I'm betting this is a group of less than 10 people. But just imagine if there were 3 or 4 of these groups. The city wouldn't be able to replace those cameras faster than they could pull them down. But we should all be watching this. This is how you solve a problem right here. They can't track and find anybody if the camera's not functioning. Now just imagine they get every citizen in London on board with this. The government can only do to its population what the population will allow. When they start instituting all these control mechanisms, we cannot allow it. I even think there should be small groups forming in every major city in the United States right now. A group of around 6, 7, 8 people just ready and willing to actually attack this problem head on if it comes to their city. Just immediately show them these cameras are not welcome here. We're at the point that that's really going to be our only option.
Fun little fact about Pearl Harbor. We're taught that Japan just bombed us, right? But that's really stupid. Japan was fighting a war against China, and they are a battle for the Pacific. They're part of the Axis powers. I'm not saying that we intentionally made or forced Japan to attack us to give us an excuse to get into the war. What I'm saying is that we caused Japan to bomb Pearl Harbor. This is what happened. So Japan does not produce its own energy. And when you are in the middle of a war and industrialization, you need to feed the war machine. And in order to feed the war machine, you need oil. Japan is importing lots of oil. America, the education does not teach you. It never taught you about the embargo, okay, and about the blockade. The United States did a blockade around Japan. This is before Pearl Harbor, preventing oil from getting to Japan. People think Japan just went and attacked America. We're just told on December 7th, 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and forced America to enter the war. They wanted to cripple the Navy because the Navy was the ones that were in charge of the blockade. Whether it's a good thing that we did this and provoked them into it so we could get into the war with the justification and then help the world be free from Nazis and Japanese mad scientists, that's an opinion, that's fine. I have nothing against that. This is how it happened. We provoked them. So here's the history. Now, here's the conspiracy part. Number one, on the island of Oahu, Pearl Harbor. Why was it that every major battleship and aircraft carrier destroyer was sitting in one spot? It was almost like it was gift wrapped. Number two, people that were working at that time on ships that were out here with early radar who had detected Japanese aircraft coming inbound. So there are some people who believe that not only were they provoked, that they wanted to make sure it was a big enough hit that it could justify Congress and our government to declare entry into the war.
That is the smartest banana I've ever seen. I bet you could go back in our history at every war that we've been involved in since the founding of the United States, except for the ones that happened here on our own soil. I bet there was an instance just like this that played out right before we got involved with all those wars. Because they want to go to war because that makes them money. Otherwise, why would we be involved in any wars? We're sitting over here completely separated from 90% of the world. An ocean protecting us on either side. Yet somehow, with nearly every major argument between nations, the US gets involved, things quickly spiral out of control, and a war kicks off. And we're always either funding it, supplying it, or we've got boots on the ground. These people love their money, and they love sending the common man off to die so they can get it. But that is exactly why we need to be so careful about just buying their narrative when we do eventually get an attack on U.S. soil. Because history would imply our own government will likely be involved.
Your electric bill is literally going up right now so that tech companies can power AI, and they just committed $1.4 trillion to be able to do it. So if you're one of the people that have noticed that your electric bill has gone up recently, there is actually a very specific reason why it has. Utility companies actually just said that they're spending $1.4 trillion over the next 5 years to power AI, and your bill is going to be the one that's going to be paying for it.
A new report says U.S. utility companies are planning to invest $1.4 trillion over the next 5 years to help strengthen the nation's power grid.
Bills all across the country have already went up 40% since 2021, and they're now going up twice as fast as everything else. In Virginia alone, people's bills went from $100 per month to almost $300 per month, and 75% of the people there are directly blaming AI data centers. So that's insane. Obviously nobody asked for it. It ended up getting so bad that some politicians are now trying to ban new data centers completely from being built, but nobody asked you if you were cool to be the one to pay for it in the first place. And even with all of that being said, on Kalshi right now, there is almost $400,000 that's being bet that's riding on inflation going higher. And the graph on the market is going straight up. So are we doing any better? They need $1.4 trillion to power AI. And I think they found it. It's in your electricity bill.
We all know what they're doing. They're going to pull every single penny out of our pockets, and then they're going to collapse the US dollar and then force us into a digital currency. This has to be intentional. No one would make the moves that they're making if they weren't actively trying to destroy the country. Why would you invest nearly $1.5 trillion on a technology that they have yet to find a profit point for? They still don't know how to make money using AI. They don't know how to profit off of it. Like the one key thing it's to be used for that's supposed to generate revenue, they haven't figured that out. This bubble will eventually burst, and it seems like this time our federal government is carrying most of the weight. So I would say at the very least, all of those people that are betting that inflation is just going to continue to rise and rise, that makes sense to me. I don't see how it could possibly go down.
Have any of y'all seen the video yet of the astronaut Christina Koch, her rehabilitation from when they landed? You gotta check this out and tell me how stupid it looks. Check it out.
Everyone just recently discovered that this lady is an actress. She even had her own page with an entire film history and all that listed on IMDb, but they took it down. It was there a week ago, gone today. But isn't it funny how the moment they landed, she was able to climb out of the ship and get into this boat and then climb up onto the dock and walk right in full view of witnesses, all these cameras, people filming it. We've seen the video footage. And then there's video of her supposedly arriving home and playing with her dog and meeting him for the first time since stepping foot back on Earth. And then after all that footage gets released, then they put out footage of her supposedly going through some sort of physical therapy. And the physical therapy video doesn't even make any sense, because if you're walking that poorly that you're constantly having to stop at every step and straighten yourself back out because you keep buckling and folding over, you would have people closer to you ready to catch you whenever you inevitably fall. I've worked in nursing homes. When someone has difficulty walking and you're trying to teach them how to do it on their own, you still hold on to them so they don't have to worry about falling while they're focusing on keeping movement and momentum. Physical therapy just isn't done this way. That one lady was literally holding her hand out like this. What good is that going to do? If she starts to tip toward you, you're just going to push her back up? I bet you that those so-called physical therapists in that video have their own IMDb page. It's starting to seem like everything they've put out about this Artemis 2 mission is a lie.
Okay, if there's only 4 people on Artemis 2, who's filming this? And who directs the camera towards the window? Who's filming this? A 5th person? I mean, what do they want us to believe? Okay? Who shot that? And by the way, when Neil Armstrong went to the moon and then he took off from the moon to come back to Earth, who filmed the takeoff? It was filmed from outside their capsule as it was taking off. So again, who is the person in Artemis? Do they have a robot in there that's filming them and then turning and filming? And why didn't they take more photos of the solar system? Why only inside the capsule? Where are the hundreds of thousands of pictures of our solar system? We have all the electronics and the capabilities to get great photos, and I'm still waiting. All we saw was a capsule plunging from the sky, supposedly on fire, and then there was no steam when it hit the water, and then they came out, and not even a couple days later, they're on every single talk show there is out there.
Just stop and think about the actual absurdity of what this man just said. Just imagine, I live in Kentucky. Let's say I wanted to go down to Florida. It's going to take about a 10-hour drive to get from where I live to get to Florida, to get to the ocean. I actually went on a trip like that last year with my wife and kids for vacation. We didn't take a bunch of photos of the things that we were doing inside of our van. We took photos outside the window. Pictures of things that we were passing by, pictures of things that we were excited to go to. How does an entire species spend more than 50 years in frustration because these guys built a way to go to the moon and then they accidentally lost the technology, supposedly? So for more than 50 years, we haven't been able to go back, standing here with an egg on our face. Oh, we promised we did it before, but we can't do it now. And then we finally pull it off. We send a crew of 4 around the moon. A crew of 4 people who have seemingly dedicated their lives to reaching this point. They got the right education, the right training, they met the right requirements. I mean, they don't find astronauts by putting feelers out on Monster.com or Indeed. We're talking about people who have devoted their entire lives to their career. These are some of the most passionate people you will ever see when it comes to space. And they spent the entire trip taking videos of each other watching stuff float around inside the spaceship. They made this huge deal about how the astronauts were going to be able to use their cell phones on this journey. We haven't gotten one single video of someone holding their iPhone up to the window and showing us what it looked like outside. They're lying. It is becoming overwhelmingly obvious that they're lying to us.
Why did they have such a clean shave the entire trip? Like, I shaved, I think, 2 days ago. This was the Artemis crew on the way to the launch pad. This was them on day 8 after circling the moon and returning home. Look at their faces. Not once did they even have a 5 o'clock shadow. They had the cleanest shave I've ever seen in my life every single day. And okay, maybe they just shaved in space every single day, twice a day. Is it even safe to shave in space? Never mind have your hair flying all over the place? Loose hair is not safe in a spaceship. It is considered a hazard and is actively managed, not allowed to flow freely. Stray hairs can be trapped in sensitive equipment, clog critical air filters, or be inhaled or get into astronauts' eyes. Astronauts typically keep hair short or tied back. I've never seen a woman's hair in space tied up. 100% of the time, it is out. You already know why that is. On average, it is normal to lose 50, 100, or 150 hairs from your head per day. So they were gone for 10 days, so times 3 minus this guy because he doesn't have any hair. Thousands and thousands of hairs would be all over the place. They state themselves can be very dangerous to the equipment. This is them when they got back after the 10th day, and their facial hair is the exact same as when they left.
This almost makes me wonder if they didn't film all of the footage with these actors. I mean, I'm not going to call them astronauts. I don't believe that they went to space. But I wonder if they filmed all of the footage, like, simultaneously, back to back. So while we've been down here on Earth getting updates, they've been down here on Earth pretending to be out there. And all these videos they were giving us, the reason they're clean shaven through the whole thing is because it was all filmed in the span of 48 hours. They were just slow dripping videos to us and telling us that it was coming from a live feed. I don't know that that's what's going on, but it just doesn't make any sense to me why on a 10-day mission they wouldn't tell these guys, you have to just keep your beard. You can't shave. It's 10 days. Get over it. Wouldn't that be the safest and the most effective way to handle that situation? But that does seem to happen a lot with NASA. There sure seems to be a lot of concepts that are, in my opinion, common sense and make the most logical sense that seemingly never occurs to NASA. But I can't help but wonder if the people who were responsible for pulling this whole thing off, how many times a week are they sitting there watching these Facebook videos being made by some guy in his living room who noticed something suspicious and decided to talk about it? How often are they watching these videos and going, oh, we didn't think about that? It just seems like when you look at all of the things that people are catching, all of the mistakes that people are noticing, it seems like a lot of those are things that the person responsible for constructing this whole narrative just didn't think about it. It seems like they put a lot more effort into the technical stuff and trying to fool us visually and completely overlooked all of the common sense elements.
So this happened. Humanoid robot breaks human half marathon record in Beijing.
It starts like any other race, but this one is different. 12,000 runners are competing against more than 100 humanoid robots in a 21-kilometer half marathon in Beijing.
No, be honest, what is the point in this? Or how about humanoid robots chasing down wild boars in Poland? And call me crazy, but I think it was the Matrix that said that robots building robots was one of the turning points for human demise. No?
Unusual is happening inside Unitree's factory, and it feels like a preview of the next industrial revolution. Robots are not just walking around or performing test routines. They're helping manufacture other robots. At the center of the shift is the Unifo LMX, 1.0 embodied artificial intelligence model.
And I know these things are built on the basis of helping us, but then you got China with the whole army of these things already. And then teaching them Kung Fu. all these humanoid robots are powered by AI. So I can't help to think about Anthropic, the one we've heard so much about lately, the company that our president labeled a national security risk. The one with the rogue AI they were so worried about they called together all the CEOs of the big banks.
Breaking news that we're following, he is now directing all government agencies to cut off ties with the AI company Anthropic after it refused to agree to the Pentagon's demands on how its tech is used.
How its tech is used. That's a little unsettling, considering one of the things they were going to use that technology for. And if you're anything like me and you've been looking into these data centers, you know that Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg are two of the biggest names behind humanoid robots, which would mean Amazon's heavily involved. So their 900 and counting data centers throughout the country is a pretty good way to control a bunch of robots, right? And what if another AI system went rogue and started controlling all these robots? Who would you point the finger at? I'm probably just thinking too much, right?
3 humanoid robot. It's we actually had built it last year. My God. Yeah. It's about 130 pounds, 5'6", and we're basically designed it to do most things, like a lot of things humans do.
Y'all stay safe.
I think one of the things that scares me the most with this robot thing is if they have all these robots everywhere and then a single person somewhere down the line has an access point where they can get in and control all of these robots and do it as an individual, they don't have to have any help, then our government or one of these elites could easily turn these robots into an army, completely wipe out 20-30% of the population, and then just find a patsy to pin it on. And they don't care. They'll point the finger at some guy who doesn't even have a high school degree and couldn't possibly be responsible. They've long since given up on their narratives making sense. And no matter how many safety protocols they build into these things to actually protect the consumer, they'll never be able to protect against intentional misuse. And that means we will never be able to fully trust these things. You will literally be inviting a super soldier into your home to stay in there while you're asleep that at any moment someone could decide they want to take control of and just eliminate you. You'll never get another good night's sleep again.
Oh boy, this is serious. This is the years that each one of these skills will be replaced by AI. Within the next 5 years, everything changes. For every single person that is in one of these categories, drivers, doctors, surgeons, coders, teachers, lawyers, artists, factory workers, soldiers, you will all be looking for a new career in less than 10 years. Coding is the first in line, and that's in 2028. It will be completely obsolete. One of the highest income skills erased within just a few decades. Most of this can already be done by AI. Everything here is already capable of being done by AI. We just have robotics that is behind, but not for long. To put this into perspective, drivers is 12 million, doctors is 1 million, and all the way down this list, we are seeing the United States erase the potential of 37 million jobs. Now, this is at the same time that we're going through the crossover. The population changes from having more births than having more deaths. Right at that same pinnacle moment at 2033, where AI has now taken over all of those careers and that 37 million people lose their jobs. So you have 37 million people in the United States losing their jobs, and at the same time, over the next 9 years, you have 30 million people passing away. This is what they call the tipping point, or what others call the crossover. But now let's do globally. Globally, there's over 100 million drivers. There's over 13 million doctors, and so forth. So a total displacement comes out to almost 1 billion people on this planet that will lose their jobs within now and 2033. This is not even talking about those that are already jobless. But in 2026, here's how many people do not produce any income. Children account for 2 billion. Elderly account for almost 1 billion. Unemployed account for 200 million. And the others are in or out of the labor force in a working age of another 2 billion. That's 5 billion people. Almost 63% of the entire world's population is unemployed or not producing income and depend on the rest of us. So 5 billion plus another billion of global total unemployed, non-producing humans on this planet for the other 3 billion of us that do produce to support. But in 2026, there's 60 million millionaires today that support roughly 5 billion unemployed or non-producing humans. The support comes from not just taxes, but it comes from building businesses, running their investments, and giving opportunities to the masses. Millionaires in the United States account for approximately 24 million of those 60 million, and billionaires account for approximately 3,400 as of today across the globe, with about 1,000 of those coming from the United States. And by 2033, only 65 million millionaires. That means we are decelerating with the amount of millionaires that we're having globally around the world. In fact, the majority, from 60 to 65 in 9 years, and the majority of that is from the United States. And it's only because of inflation. Asset prices and inflation, meaning people who own things are going to become millionaires just by default from the rising cost of things and the dilution of money over time. But if you look at this list again, I want to remind you, do you see here anywhere where it says that investors are being replaced? That real estate owners are being replaced? That physical business, service-based business owners are being replaced? Nope. Why? Because you can't replace those things with these technologies. You cannot replace a bathroom, you can't replace a kitchen, you can't replace the water or the shelter that somebody needs. This right here can be replaced. All these people have to relearn something new in the future. It is in your best interest, if you are in one of these categories today, to start learning how to invest, so that way, when the time happens and the flippening takes place, you're prepared to keep receiving income. Maybe not from private rents, but from universal basic income payments that come from either a Section 8 or an affordable housing voucher that the government's stepping in to pay you to provide a service to all of these people that no longer have the income to be able to maintain a good, affordable home.
I really don't like ending a video on a clip that just completely annihilates anyone's hope. But regardless of whether this timeline is highly accurate or not accurate at all, we do know that these things are coming. And if I had to guess, a lot of those industries are probably going to be gone way before that timeline is even capable of coming to fruition. And it's going to be compounding. So we're going to start seeing a lot of stuff start falling off. A lot of industries start to collapse and disappear. And it's just going to ramp up. It's going to start going faster and faster and faster until everything's gone. Because as they take over certain industries, they're going to figure out how to utilize AI for these other industries that are similar but not quite the same. And then once the humans are finished implementing AI into absolutely everything that they could possibly think of, the AI will find new places to implement itself. But none of us know the future. We don't know how far away any of this stuff is. We don't know if we've got, 6 months left or if we've got 20 years left before things get really, really bad, But at least we know this stuff's coming. At least we can start buying extra toilet paper whenever we get a few extra bucks, or start stocking, putting some food away. At least when this happens, we're not going to be amongst the group that's completely blindsided. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to click like and leave a comment to increase the odds of my next upload showing up in your YouTube feed. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.